Hey everyone, welcome to the Member Lounge podcast. I am your host Farhad Khan. I am the CEO of Member Lounge. In this podcast, you learn how to grow your association membership. And if you don't know about us, Member Lounge is like a private LinkedIn-like platform for your membership that automatically drives your member engagement using your own content. And it makes your membership a little more fun than it otherwise is. This is a live recording of our podcast episode. We are so excited to have all of you here. I think like recording the podcast episodes live gives it like a unique vibe altogether because we get like so many questions and so much content from the audience as well. So if you're joining us live today, please do interact in chat. Please come on mic if you have any thoughts or anything. And like please, if you have any question, please type on chat, right? And or if you just have a comment, if you like something, if you are excited about something, use the emojis, like use the comments and make it interactive, make it fun for all of us. I want to start this episode with a quick story about myself because I think this is very relevant at this point in time. So a number of years back when I was running my company and of course, like I'm the CEO of the company and I was the CEO back then as well, but I was at a very low point of my career. So what was happening is that since I was originally a developer, then I kind of like grew in the ranks and then I became the CEO of the company. And then as a result, a lot of the fun things I was doing in my job were just taken away from my life. So the design work, the development work, the creative work, they were all delegated to other managers and team members altogether. And I was left with all the most difficult decisions, all the most painful items. And my job was so painful every single day that I was dreading my career, dreading my life. So then as I was talking to one of my business coaches, he was saying, you need some more creative inspiration in your life, in your job in general. What can you do that is creative, but also aligns with the mission and vision of your company that will help the company as well? That's when I started this podcast, I think several years ago. And the Member Launch podcast was not called the Member Launch podcast back then. It was called something else, but over time it became this. But the podcast was the beginning of a lot of things in my life altogether. When I started this podcast, I started a new creative journey altogether. And the podcast turned into webinars. Then we started doing webinars besides podcasts as well. And all of that culminated into the product Member Lounge that we have today. If I didn't start this podcast 4 or 5 years ago, our product Member Lounge wouldn't be here today. So I think this podcast in one way kind of like saved my life, saved my career altogether. And I think this podcast helped a lot of people with our technology platform and with all the content that we create. So that's why I'm so excited to be here with you all today. We are at 55 episodes now and growing. We don't record too many episodes, but our episodes are deep and we actually bring a lot of value in each episode. So excited for this today. So with that, I'm going to introduce our co-host, Bruce. Bruce, if you don't mind telling us a bit about yourself.
Thanks, Farhad. I am Bruce Rosenthal. I work with associations to help them increase sponsorship revenue and member value from their sponsorships. And earlier this year, I wrote the book Mastering Association Corporate Sponsorships. And so I'm delighted to have the opportunity to introduce my friend Ginger. So I met Ginger, actually, like many of us met folks during COVID at a virtual networking event. And she mentioned she was from Missoula, Montana. And it's like, well, I'm in the Washington, D.C. area. When am I going to be in Missoula? Probably won't get to see her in person anytime soon. And but the next summer, my son was doing a cross-country bike trip from east to west. And they had an overnight stop in Missoula. So I said, Ben, get in touch with Ginger. And Ginger and her husband were very hospitable, invited Ben over for dinner. Ben texted me right afterwards and said, that was so cool to meet a friend and colleague of yours on my cross-country bike trip over a course of 3.5 months or so. And then when I first met Ginger in person a few years ago at the Professionals for Association Revenue Summit in Annapolis, she was doing a general session presentation. And Ginger is on the stage and she's off the stage in the audience, and the audience is getting energized, and the audience members are raising their hands and they're standing up. And truly an energized group of 150 folks. And then last year, Ginger invited me to an event she was doing in the DC area with about 20 people, a networking group for an association and team building, and the same sort of energy with 20 people as I saw with 150 people, and I've heard about Ginger doing with much larger groups. So Ginger's thing is connections and connectivity. What could be a better topic for associations who need to connect with multiple stakeholders, members, sponsors, non-members, consumers in many cases. So whether it is virtual, and actually Ginger mentioned to me as we were prepping a few minutes ago that she actually prefers virtual because you can do a lot more with virtual than in person. And I said, well, that was a tough message for many associations during COVID because it was like, uh-oh, we can't be in person. How can we connect if we're not in person? So Ginger can do this virtually. She can do it in person. A perfect message for associations. And Ginger, let me turn it over to you.
Yes, so good to be here. Absolutely. Farid, Bruce, thank you so much for being here. And I think it's funny that I met your son before I met you, Bruce. It was one of those relationships that developed that as soon as we saw each other, it was like two kids in a sandbox, like, woo! And that was fantastic. One of the exercises we did in Virginia last year, this is one of the sheets from that, Bruce. So thank you, everybody, for being here, because since you're here, you are genuinely interested in your association, wherever you occupy your space in the ecosystem. Bruce rattled off a whole bunch. Yeah, it's this big piece of pie. And associations have a really unique, beautiful space in our world. And I laud you for being a member. If you're not a member and you're thinking about being a member, please join, because it is a truly unique and fulfilling, refilling place for all of us. Join more than one, for Pete's sake. Like, there's so much goose and juice in all of it. So I've been invited here today for this fantastic event, and I am super jonesed. I am Ginger. I am an energetic person who studies and teaches to the power of human connection, keynotes, workshops, online, in person, like Bruce mentioned, podcasts like I've been invited with Farhad, and all of this. And so today we're going to mix this up a little bit, quite literally, darling. And just like Farhad said, like, fire up the chat. I'm going to ask you some things. If you're here live, I want you to do this. If you're watching the recording, I still want you to write things down, because the participation is where the magic happens. So today, I'm going to liken the idea of fun in an association to, well, our kitchen or our table. I am an enthusiastic cook, and I have 10 ingredients for you today to think about membership, to think about how you want engagement, how you want strong teams within your membership, within your own association, because we know that's the nucleus, that's the mitochondria of our associations. If you don't know what that is, look it up. It's the powerhouse of the cell. And that's what association is. The cell is the community. And so I'm going to give you a lot of ideas. I want to acknowledge the questions that came in before recording. We'll touch on a lot of them. And if you want to talk afterwards, I'm extremely accessible. Please contact me. I'd be delighted to talk about whatever you have in your mind too. So with no further ado, let's start. 10 ingredients for a fun and very connected, healthy culture association. And I do already work a lot with associations, and I love you all. There's no pandering. That's the truth. It's a very self-selecting audience of people who are doers and goers. The very first thing, before I get into number one, is that you need a mise en place. For those of us who that term is new for, mise en place is literally things in place. And so I'm going to show you that I have a few things in place. Yes, I am in my headquarters, but I've got a few things here right in front of me. The beauty of online, it's live. We're just moving with it. And mise en place is everything in place. So before I got on with our fine host today, I got everything lined up. And so I want to go through that. And I want you to first think about mise en place. What is your mise en place? What is in place? What do you want in place? What is the foundation of your organization? What are your mission, your vision, your core values? How do those look, feel, sound, smell? How are you witnessing those? What's the experience within your association first? Please, 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 no, this has got to start in the internal part of the association. And I know that Bruce, with all the work you've done, Farid, with all the work you've done, heck, every team member from Member Lounge who's on right now, like, I'm hearing the nodding heads. What do we need to get in place? When we're cooking, we're thinking of things like knives. This is Julia, one of my knives. Yes, I name it. Yes, like, I love Julia Child. When you're thinking about what else is in your kitchen, aka your association, are you ready to put your apron on? There's these props, Bruce. Are you putting your apron on? Are you ready? Are you fully representing? Does it feel like the right apron? Does it feel like the right thing for you? Because one of the biggest messages with leadership is Stay as long as it lights you up. Otherwise, we love you, free up your future, please go somewhere else. There's often this feeling in leadership, especially, and definitely in membership, that there's a should or a have to. That's a construct of our own making. Shift it. The connector's mindset includes get to, want to. Shift your should and have to. Help your members feel like they get to, that they want to. Help yourself feel like you get to, you want to. And so your mise en place is getting all your things in place. That can be the strategy if you want to think about it that way. What do I need to have so that we can go, we can serve, we can have a great time, that fun is really our fuel. And fun, I'm so glad this is part of the title. Fun is not frivolous. Fun is fundamental. I mean, it's right there in the word. And beyond the semantics, if we don't have a fun culture, what are the repercussions of that? In fact, put that in the chat right now. When things aren't fun, and by fun, I want to expand the definition a little bit. Fun means that there's joy, that there is reward, that there is a feel good, I'm doing meaningful work for people who want this. When we don't have that, that's a fractured culture. That's a culture that's just kind of simmering on the back and nobody's paying attention to that. So go ahead and put in the chat, like, what happens when our culture is not fun? What are some symptoms, or what are some maladies that can manifest if it's not a fun culture? Fun is underrated. I believe it needs to be a line item budget. In fact, I was giving a keynote for America's Rural Electric Cooperatives, and then I did a keynote and I gave a workshop after that. And one woman from a co-op got up and said, we designate fun funds, FUNDS, because we want to keep celebrating. And it doesn't cost very much. It can be time, it can be resources, it can be money. Thank you for firing up the chat. I see there's activity, so keep that going. When we celebrate with nominal monetary investment and with big emotional investment, with big vision investment, that's what's fun. So we've got our mise en place in place. You know, what is the foundation of your association? Why do you exist? Who do you serve? Those are part of your foundational mise en place. So assuming we have all that, and Julia is at the ready, I want to give you about 10 ingredients. So number one, let's make a salad together. The number one thing is purpose. I believe purpose is way more important than passion, and I'm likening purpose to a potato today. So we're here to have fun. Potato tubers are known the world around. They provide a sustenance. They are incredibly nimble. They feel common because they are. And there's a common ground that our purpose promotes. I want you to let that sink in. If you have a strong purpose, I'm not talking about your mission or your vision or even your core values. I'm talking about your purpose, because our purpose is what fuels everything. Passion's a little bit like lust or a comet. It's going to burn out. But that purpose, that's our foundation. That's our bedrock. And the cool thing about thinking about this as a potato, because I'm a very creative person, like Bruce warned us, is that there's so many different kinds of potatoes. These are all from my kitchen right now. We get a winter community share. And I want to share because a potato looks like a potato to some people. It doesn't look like a potato to other people. Some people are like, what the heck is that? And the beauty of this, for this particular reason, the purpose is not the exterior. It is the interior. Surprise! Oh, do your members, do your partners know what your association looks like from the inside? Boom, just dropped. Hope you're picking it up. Yes. So that purpose needs to be so strong that no matter how you literally slice it, that the purpose becomes known quickly. Is your website clear? Do you have, if you use acronyms, are those acronyms spelled out? Can people understand who you are, where you're going, so that when you go to them for a sponsorship partnership, do they understand, like, what is this bundle of letters? What do you really stand for? Like, what is your clarity? What is your clarity? That is probably one of the biggest parts of purpose. So that's the first ingredient. Think about what is your purpose, which is not necessarily your vision or mission. It's related, but what is your true purpose? Why does this drive you to do the work you do and serve the people you serve? So that's the first ingredient. The second ingredient I want to share is investment. what is the investment that you have in the association, that your members have, that your partners, that you want people to support it? Bruce, I love that you wheeled off, the end client, consumer, whatever you call that person, member, whoever that is, because that's something we don't often think about. Like, what is the perpetual investment? As long as we are in business, there will be things to do. So if you're a to-do lister, let yourself off the hook and think, this is an investment. I must invest to develop a return, to also get a return. I call it the ROC, the return on connection, from my members, from myself, from the investors, from whoever that is. And I liken investment to something that not a lot of people know about. This happens to be a Buddha's hand. I've already started to dig into the Buddha's hand. It's been shredded, graded in lots of ways. And a Buddha's hand, can you smell that? Smells so good. It's got a lemon citrusy scent. Please put something in the chat if you know what the heck a Buddha's hand is, or if you've used one before, or an emoji, however you want to signal. This is unusual. This is, Fred, I love that you said, oh, you gotta go get one, man. Now is the season. They're not around for very long, which can be a correlation to investment. Do you feel like if you're going for a sponsorship, partnership conversation, do you feel like it's extremely limited? Do you feel like there's a season beyond? How are you thinking about investment? What does it smell like? What is the accent that your investment is yielding? What do you want the investment to yield? And how can you have fun with that? I don't think anybody thought I was going to pull up a Buddha's hand. Normally it looks like fingers, and I love playing with this. I play with my food, so there's some fun. But the idea of investment is it's wide open. Bruce, you are outstanding at this. You've been an association exec, how you serve your client partners. You're creative, you're willing, which is a connector's mindset foundational piece. You're willing. So what is your wide open perspective on thinking about what is my association? Who are we about? Who are we serving? How can we get creative in the investment part? Personally, it's been so invigorating, and I hope you feel this way too. Give some sort of sign if you agree to this next statement, because it feels right to you, that in the last several years, the conversations around sponsorship and partnership are becoming completely different. We're cracking a huge nut. It's like not a chicken egg, it's an ostrich egg, because we're thinking, well, that chicken egg was the chicken egg, but now we're kind of in an ostrich zone, or we're in a different zone. So what can we crack open? How can we invest in each other, in our members? Because the more we invest, first of all, the more interest we build, double whammy there, the more engagement. If you want more members who are engaged, think about how you're investing in your team first, in your membership second. That's how I look at it. Because if the team doesn't feel like they get some of the juice, what's going on? What's the fun in that? We need to have some sort of reward for us to feel continually inspired. So what is that investment? Third ingredient, hospitality, friends. I want you to think about your association as a big host opportunity. And I don't have a real pineapple with me, but I've got a little pineapple pin. And the pineapple is the universal symbol for hospitality, because back in the day when fresh produce was a little more rare, when we didn't have the distribution channels that we do, a host providing a pineapple to their guests meant, wow, they are rich in lots of ways, often monetary, because it cost a lot to get something across the oceans, but more so that pineapple symbolizes us being a host. Are you a host for your association, for your team members? I mean, Bruce, you are excellent hosts, and not just because of this show. It's you open your heart. So if you're watching this right now live, if you're watching this recording, open your arms. Go ahead, open them up. Go ahead, guys. I see you. Okay, thank you. Yes, think of your membership. Think of engagement. Think of fun as an open body. That's a big part of the connector's mindset also. What am I willing to welcome? What am I curious about? We're going to get to willingness a little bit later, but I really want you to focus on being a host. Being a host then opens the door literally to ideas, to opportunities, to saying yes, to saying no, all kinds of ways. So keep that pineapple in mind. Yes. Yeah. Woof. So right, Catherine. Thank you. Number 4, the fourth ingredient is something that feels very common and that we can all get better at. And it's a word that was coined by a former colleague of mine who's also Canadian, and it's nimbility. N-I-M, it's the combination of nimble and ability. Bruce, thank you for putting these in the chat. And I liken nimbility to a cabbage. This is a purple cabbage. It's probably about the size of my head. And I chose a cabbage as an ingredient for a connection to liken to nimbility, because how are we literally staying loose? How are we staying nimble, flexible, mobile even? COVID, wow, so many gifts with COVID. You want to have fun? We learned how to have fun in completely new ways. Inherently, as a species, we are off the charts creative. Yes, we're off the charts creative. So this nimbility is your opportunity to say, well, what if we do it that way? What about instead of lifting one leg, I lift the other? Look at that. I'm feeling pretty flexible today. What about that? What's the curiosity? Like, it's a cabbage. In the chat, write how you've eaten cabbage before, please. Everybody, if you're live, please do this. How have you had cabbage before? Maybe it's coleslaw, maybe it's fermented, maybe it's, like, fire it up. Feed this beast. Ooh, tacos. Ooh, Haley, I like that. Yes. How have you had, oh yeah, keep it rolling. How have you had cabbage? Well, have you ever put it in a fruit salad? That's nimble. It provides a crunch. Cabbage is a powerhouse nutritionally. So there's another parallel. How healthy? What is the nourishment that you being nimble as an association helps fuel your vision? So good. Give me some sort of emoji if you're having fun. It's a little different. Ooh, you juice it. I just caught that one. So good. Yes, right on. Yes. You're not having fun. One of my mantras is get out. I love you, but please, there's a million ways to be you. So have fun with it. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, everybody, for being here, for watching live as well as watching the recording. So far we've got those 4. You can look at what they are so far. Bruce is putting them in the chat. Number 5, the 5th ingredient for association connection, for fun, I'm likening it today, is a little bit of a sleeper hit. And it's in here in my bin. Oh, there you are. Comes in different sizes. There's part of the message. Comes in different colors. There's part of the message. You can eat the tops. You can eat the bottom. There's part of the message. Like, how flexible is it? How creative are you? And it's willingness. And I brought the humble beet with me. I brought the humble beet because, first of all, not everybody loves beets, but once you have them cooked in a new way, you might change your mind. When I got to know my fine husband, who I adore, when we were dating, he told me that he didn't really like beets. And I don't know, it probably wasn't stronger than that because he's a pretty gentle, mellow guy. And I cooked beets for him one time. And then I made pickled beets because I'm also a big canner preserver. And he tried them because, that was a really wise choice for him to at least try what his wife made. But he's like, oh, this is totally different than what I've had before. Huge message. Catherine, you're right. You can't beat the beat. Ask the Go-Go's. Rethinking. Willingness is so powerful, fruitful. What are we willing to do? Unwillingness often comes out like this. We haven't done it that way. We've always done it that way. Please, I'm feeling the heads nodding here. And if this makes you uncomfortable, this is your message. Because if we are not evolving, we are stagnant. That is bad for associations. That's bad for the members. That's bad for the team. It is unbeatable, Bruce. I'm with my people. I love this. The beet is humble. You open it up and sometimes it's red. Sometimes it's yellow on the outside. What is your willingness to say, I think I'll try that. What do you think, team? What could we make with the beet? So that willingness, it's healthy for a culture of belonging within your association. It's helpful for a culture of engagement, for all the things. And a beet, again, is another powerhouse, and it's humble. Associations have a humility for the most part. For the most part, association teams, people like you, people who are members, there's a humility that is magnetic, that is restorative, that is, this is where I want to be. If you want your association to have fun, to be the place people want, if you want those dues to renew, if you want to roll out new ideas, everything that you want is based in a willingness, that connector's mindset, which is positive, objective, and willing. If you roll that way, if that's your mise en place, if that's how you're going to present, then my friends, you're going to keep going and you're going to keep rolling very, very well, very healthy, very healthy. All right, so there's the fifth ingredient. The sixth ingredient I want to share with you today is creativity. Creativity, well, let me say it this way. When I was in my early 20s, I was a middle school teacher. And for all of you out there who are parents, you're welcome. And I was a middle school art teacher in a very rural district in the way tippy-top border of Minnesota in the United States. And boy, was that an education. I grew up in a major metro area, went to college in kind of a medium-sized market, and then I lived in a town of 212 people, and I taught a very small district. And as the middle school art teacher, as if that wasn't specialized enough, I would have so many kids come in and say, I can't draw, they didn't know their primary colors, and like all these things. I share this because I want you to think, what is the parallel for you? What are your members, what are your teams saying? Like, I don't know about this, I'm unfamiliar, I'm not sure. And our role in our associations as people who support associations is to foster the feeling of safety and then the actual culture of belonging for emotional safety, for thought safety, for diversity safety, for like insert any kind of safety you want, because that safety is code for a constructive, healthy ecosystem. That is what we all want. We want to walk in the door and feel like it's not just there's chairs at the table. We want ourselves, we want our members, we want whoever our primary stakeholders, if you want to use that word, we want them to know that like, oh, that's my chair. And they're waiting for it. That's the host. Please come in. That is creativity. How can we help people feel like they are seen, valued, and heard? How can we help people who may feel like there's something unusual, like, oh, but I'm different than the other members? Guess what? I hope so. So, because we want that variety. For creativity, I pulled this out of my fridge. So let's have some guesses in the chat. What do you think this little ball of creativity is? It is a root of some kind. Keep guessing. It does have a distinct aroma to it. And you smell your food, play with your food. Catherine, I feel like I want to be in the kitchen with you. Thank Kim for your guess. A little dirt on my nose. That's another metaphor. Like, how are we getting our hands dirty in our associations? If we're not getting our hands dirty in our associations, are we digging into the soil? Are we digging into earth, into the foundation? I mean, we can relate anything. It's connection. Dum, dum, dum. All right, this, my friends, is a celeriac. This is, okay, this is a celeriac. This is in different cultures, this is a relatively uncommon vegetable, and it is a root vegetable, and it is fantastically beautiful. I mean, look at the detail on that. And I want to show this to you because those are root starts. This has been hacked because they harvested it, but there's greens that come out. You know, what's below the surface in your association and what's above the surface? Ooh, what are people seeing that's obvious? What are they not seeing? And how are you helping them see what will be truly helpful, not just for them, but for all the members in the associations? Yeah, these are roots. An association, I think healthy associations want to put down roots. And then that longevity. It's one thing to open an association. Ding, okay, we're open for business. Great. Darn near anybody can do that. What's the long range vision? What's the strategy? What's your willingness to implement and to try something? And while you pay attention to what's going on, what's also singularly yours? What makes you uniquely you as an association? Because people still want something special. They're not looking for run of the mill. If they did that, they'd just go down to the mill. I mean, you're not run of the mill. You're something different. Like, oh, what's that over there? I know what that is. What's that? Yeah, that, my friends, is your celeriac. That brings us to number 7. What is, I just kind of walked into this. What is your uniqueness? What is what I call your accent? What makes you uniquely and completely unique as you, as an association? What makes your members special and unique? How are they bringing them whole selves to the membership. How are they more engaged? Because when we do feel that safety, we feel like, oh, this is the kitchen, this is the table, this is the place I want to be with my people, then, oh my goodness, do you open the fire hose to so much possibility. So much possibility. I liken this in a very personal way, and I thought I had a piece of the root in my fridge. I must have finished it off because it's really good for your digestion and your brain activity, is little ginger. So I've got it in a ginger bear, and this is ground ginger. It has a pungency, it has a uniqueness. So the key to what makes you unique is portion. Think about, how are you rolling things out? Am I going to use a tablespoon? Am I going to use a quarter teaspoon? What is the portion of your uniqueness? And how do you portion it out? When you have a conference, for example, when you have a webinar, for example, how are you portioning out what makes you unique? How much are people asking for what makes you unique? And how are you asking your members, particularly, like, what do you think makes us unique? What can we do more of that helps us stand out to the right people? How can we be a magnet with our uniqueness, with the accent that we have? This is a flavor component, if you will. I don't think enough people are thinking about, like, okay, we're an association. How are we unique? It's not just who do we serve? That's a different question. Who do we serve and how are we unique in serving them? In the chat or with an emoji, give some sort of sign if you either are or have been a member of multiple associations over the years at the same time, whatever that is. How many of you? Let's see it, or let's hear it. You've been members of multiples. Thank you, Marley. Thank you. Yes. And it's so many, because there's so many. There's thousands upon thousands of associations. So think about what makes you truly unique and foster that for the culture that people want to be part of. You want to have more fun? Foster the culture. You want to have more openness? Foster the culture. And this is a lot of fun, just like we're having here, just like in the member lounge. I love it, in a lounge. Woo! It's Thursday when we're recording this. Welcome to the Thursday Lounge, y'all. I'm going to pause for just a moment. And Bruce, Farad, any thoughts, anything that you want to share right now before I continue with the ingredients list?
I have a quick one here, Ginger. So I think like there isn't a lack of willingness in a lot of associations to kind of like be unique and then try to kind of like do more. But then they are often very nimble. They're not, their days are packed with so many to-dos and like they have lean teams. So I'm wondering, so in the day-to-day, right? So how would you restructure some of the tasks, activities, you know, like to kind of like make them more fun while being nimble, you know, and then like open up to creativity as well at the same time?
Yes, thank you. This is a wise question to ask. Number one, ask your team, what would be fun for you? I encourage people to either do it electronically or on the wall. I'm a big paper and marker person. If you have a team that literally is physically together occasionally, or wherever your team is, you can figure out a way to do this. What's fun for you? Ask that question. Don't contextualize it any more than that. If we start with that question, Farad, we start to open up a different angle, a different avenue for like, oh, they're asking what's fun for me. The personal development, the blooming. I don't believe there's a difference between personal and professional. And the more we say, well, that was personal and this is professional, the more we actually are anti-fun. Because if something's fun for me, it's fun for me as a person. So ask people, first of all. Number two, ask people what are the tasks, what are the duties, what are the responsibilities that you enjoy more? Enjoyment is different than fun. Phenomenal book on fun, The Power of Fun by Catherine Price. Highly recommend it. Tons of insights, great stories, and that can help delineate. Enjoyment is different than fun. Fun is almost a flow state. In enjoyment, we get a lot of joy and personal reward. So, Farad, you're right. The plates are full. Plates are full. Like, let's not pile it on. Let's not make it a larger plate. And let's find out, what do people find fun? What do you find enjoyable? What's gratifying? What do they want to do more of? What do they want to do less of? Now, just before anybody hits any kind of well, wait a minute, they've got a job description. What if you changed your job description to a job agreement? That would change things, because when we agree, then we're in step. If it's simply a description or, gosh forbid, expectations. I expect you to eat all your cabbage, young lady. Like, that's a lot of cabbage. Can I have some Buddha's hand instead? Can I have a beet instead? Asking our teams is one of the most constructive, powerful, engendering way we can boost our cultures no matter what our schedule is, no matter what we want to accomplish. I would say the second part, I mean, there's a whole laundry list on this, Farid, but I'll keep it to two primary. Second thing is let go of some stuff. Please pull an Elsa. Let it go. Let it go. What do we need to let go of? COVID was phenomenal for this. Like, what really, frankly, doesn't matter? What's unconstructive? I've shifted to using the word constructive from productive because I believe constructive feels more we, as opposed to productive can feel isolating and like, oh, I have no, like that's a yoke. And then this is my choice because words is an area of connection that I really focus on. But what can you literally get rid of? If you are in a leadership role, closely examine, clear light of day. Okay, what are all the things? What's mission critical? I like to A, B, and C tasks, things, duties, dreams. Like, ooh, what is such an element and the crux of what I am trying to accomplish here? Who is me? What are those? And then B is like, oh yeah, that's really nice. That could fit. And then what is C? Like, okay, maybe not. Put that away. Give yourself the liberation to say, how do I have this fun culture? Everybody has a full plate, regardless of what your budget is. Everybody's got a budget. Creativity is what you want for that. And then let go of some things. So those are two tips of the waves, Farhad. Thank you for asking that.
That actually reminds me as well that some team members may not actually like raise their hand and say that like, I want to do this because this is fun for me, because they're getting paid for the work. It is a job at the end of the day, right? So another way of approaching it could be that as a manager, as a leader, if you have an organizational goal and we like put the goal out there that this is what we're trying to achieve, like what are your thoughts? How can we get there? And then when people raise their hand and come up with some ideas, they actually share something, or they actually came up with a prototype or or like a working idea, and they come with it. They will probably not explicitly say that this is fun, but just by seeing the fact that they're doing that means it's fun for them. So that's probably a good sign as well in general.
Yes, 100% right. 100% right. More and more of that will become true. The more you do it, the more you leave that door open, the more you're the host, the more you let people know that truly your ideas are welcome. One of my former bosses, anybody who knows me, this will not be a surprise. I'm a bit of an idea volcano. And I came to him one day with some ideas and he said, Ginger, thank you. This is why not all ideas are good ideas. Now, that wasn't a disparagement. It's simply, let's decide. Let's choose which ideas we want to use now. So encouraging people to still provide ideas, whether it's in the chat, in the room, in a tool, however you do that. So spot on for that. That goes back to that asking, because if we want a healthy culture, it's not just our responsibility. Everybody who's there gets to play a part in that. And title has nothing to do with it. Yeah, thank you, Farid. All right, I'm gonna keep rolling a little bit. We've got a few more ingredients, and then of course we've got some other goodness. So we've got 7 ingredients so far. The last few ingredients I want to share today is something that I hope is very clarifying for you. Decide who you are for by equally deciding who you are not for. What makes you not just uniquely you, but what makes you magnetic to the people who are looking for you, to people who can't wait to find you, who people are like, oh, here you are, I had no idea. And who are the people like, nope, going that way. Great. Help make it easy for people to decide if you're the association or not. And for this, I call it the not for everyone. Who's not? Like, I'm not for everyone. I know that. I like loud and clear. And it's not a disparagement. Once again, it's simply a choice. It's not a judgment. Let that sink in. Like, help people make the choice that they realize that right now this is for me, or right now this is not for me. Because we want engaged members. We want members who aren't just paying their dues. Yeah, that helps the machine go. What we really want are people who want to speak up, who they contribute, whether they're lurkers and still supporters, or they are like overt and they're the people like their hand is always in the air to help. For this, I chose an ingredient that I'm learning is quite definite in how people choose. I chose coconut. This is shredded coconut. I don't actually have a real coconut. That smells good. Now, I like coconut. It's for me. But like, how are you the coconut and for whom? Like, I did this recently in a room of, 80 people, and I pulled out the coconut, and I kid you not, half the room groaned, and the other half like, yeah. So who are you for, and who are you then not for? This is a proven leadership growth area too. And you could use the word polarizing in a good way, because this is the flag we're waving. If this is your flag, follow, lead, come with us. If this is not your flag, then there's probably another one out there for you. So, how are you not for everyone? How are you for the people you are for? Because you will have better partnerships. Things will be easier to explain, easier to invite. People will say yes more. You'll probably get more door knocks and more phone calls. Oh, you'd like to sponsor us? That would be dynamite. Okay. That was Bruce on the phone. So how are we sparking people to interact simply by choosing who we are for and who we are not for? I invite you to go so far as to make sure your language on your website, all your platforms, all your places have a very clear, like, this is specifically who we serve, because specific is terrific. It is. Yes, that is a real phone. It's not hooked up.
Nice. Nice.
Hang on, Farhad. Hang on. Wait, 319. No. Okay. Yes. We're not just phoning it in, y'all. There's another one. Don't phone in your association. Don't phone in your partnerships. Don't phone in your members, because that's going to be, it's a push button. That's going to be the right number, so to speak. We could just metaphor the pants off of this thing. Okay. So what makes you not for everyone? And conversely, what makes you for the people you're for? The ninth ingredient I want to share today is a G word, and it's growth. There is a distinct difference between growth and education. Please, please, please let yourself be really clear on this. Education is what I think of as the mechanical pieces. It's the information, it's the knowledge, but even knowledge by itself isn't power. Applied knowledge is power. That's where growth comes. If we take the education, if you take something from this podcast or another episode, then you apply it. Oh, look what happened. There's no failure ever if you try something, ever. Like, please don't romanticize failure, because failure only is if we don't try. Try something, try it again, tweak it, adjust it, throw it out, put it on the compost, bring it back in. One thing I want you to watch for as an association pro in particular is listen for the phrase, probably especially from your members or committees or people who have had a stake or a say. Well, we tried that once before. Please watch out for that. Bruce, I have a feeling like this is particularly familiar for you, because if we say we've tried that once before and it didn't work, well, that was then, to quote S.E. Hinton, this is now. So that was that ecosystem, that was those people, that was the moment. Like, it's a moment in time where we stepped into that river, and we can never step into that same river twice. So what is the growth? What is the education? And for this, I brought in my little cyclamen, got this as a gift from a friend. What are you nurturing? How are you nurturing growth within your association team, within your membership, within your partnerships? What the whole ecosystem, because a plant is such a great metaphor for an ecosystem, because it literally is. What's the vessel? Where is it planted? What's the nourishment? What's the soil? How much water? How much sunlight? What is needed to make it bloom? Because you want to have a healthy organization, a healthy culture. So how are you nurturing and growing that? What's fun for the nourishment, for the invigoration of what you've planted? And how do you want it to grow? There are seasons with growth too. How are you acknowledging that? This could be a direct line to your budget. If people come to you or you want to provide budget dollars for ongoing growth, which I hope everybody here does sincerely, then talk about what are the seasons of our association. When are we doing this? When are we doing that? When are we doing the other? So that when requests come in, if you want to offer, so that you can have more likelihood to make it a little more equitable, instead of like, oh, we've got this and now we don't have this. Now we've got this and now we don't have this. It will really kind of smooth out a more drastic wave into something that's more tenable, more regenerative. And not necessarily, I'd encourage you to be cautious of the term sustainable, because that's simply maintaining, but the regeneration, the reinvigoration, like our fabulous plant. Like, the plant can't sustain. Like, if I stop taking care of this plant, it can't sustain. If you stop taking care of your members, if you stop taking care of your team, your partners, of course it's gonna die. It's gonna wither. So what are you committed to, very literally, in your growth for your association? The 10th ingredient, and then I have one bonus, is celebration. Celebration is so vital. And again, this goes, if you're thinking, if economics immediately jump into your mind, I invite you to expand that term, but the economics of dollars, of revenue, of budget, like I run my own business, I completely understand that we all have our own budgets. We all decide what are our line items, where are we going to invest, where are we going to not invest, how are we spending, all of these things. So I invite you to have celebration as a line item. It doesn't cost very much for us to find something to celebrate with. That was a good sound. And pour a glass of whatever it might be and celebrate. It really doesn't. If we think that fun is expensive, which circles around way to the beginning, then I invite you, how expensive is it to recruit, to replace, to heal, to take trust that's fractured and try to get that back into the groove? That is very hard. It's very hard. And often it's a wasted errand because we don't need to fracture the trust to begin with. Trust is boosted by celebration, friends. Celebration is not expensive. It's an investment. It's what I call the Howell principle. Are you going to spend or are you going to invest? If we invest, we get not just the return on investment, we get the return on connection. We get the return on fun, on joy. At a minimum, we maintain our numbers. In a much more active way, we increase those numbers. We increase the people's joy, the people's happy. Oh, I love that. That webinar was great. Terrific. Can you do more of those? How about one on this? I really love Bruce, what he had to say. Can you bring him back? Love to see Farhad from the stage. Can we have him again? Love that, Ginger, whoever it is helping us. That's worth celebrating. Celebrate a lot, celebrate often, not so it's diluted or it's like, oh, we got another celebration. But, have simple celebrations. And you can do this online, you can do this in person. Like if anybody here wants ideas on how to celebrate, maybe that's a whole other episode. But I can give you a lot, and it's just as doable in any kind of format. So celebrate, because first of all, bubbly is fun. More importantly, people want to celebrate. When we talk about the joy and the power of human connection, it's because we are doing something together. We are feeling aligned. Within our associations, that alignment is truly vital. Do we know what we're doing for the people we know what we're doing for? We're all still learning as we go. It's like parents. You don't get a manual, and even if you had a manual, if it's your first time, you have no idea. Now, you are some seasoned professionals who are watching this, and even if you are newer to the association fray, keep celebration as something that is worth your investment. Ask once again, like, how do you like to celebrate? You're going to find out some really interesting stuff about your team, about your members. This is probably one of my go-to questions that I love finding out, like, how do you like to celebrate? How do you like to have fun? Please use this in your associations. Put it on your next newsletter, put a poll, put a survey, put a collection box, however you want to do it. But ask people, how do you want to celebrate? And what do you like celebrating? What feels meaningful, not empty, not just like we're having a holiday party because it feels like we have to or should. That circles way back to the beginning. Do it because we get to and we want to. The last idea I want to share with all these ingredients today is a bonus, and it's really the idea of the compost pile. The compost pile is where we put the trimmings, the scraps, the uneaten parts. They are not trash. They are not garbage. These pieces of compost that we trim, from the beet, from the wherever, put it on your compost pile. Your compost pile is your idea where you put things to regenerate, to break down, to break apart, to look at, to bring other things into the flora and the fauna, the little critters that get in there, and change it into something that we can then again use in a different way. It's powerful because we're not just going to keep consuming. I would caution against that. I would say, how are we utilizing all of it? Have members who have left the fray. What can you do to see if they would want an invite back? Have members who are curmudgeonly, because that happens once in a while, they're dissatisfied with something. Are you willing to have conversations? Are you willing to pick up the phone? I don't know anybody who says, yes, I want more email. Are you willing to pick up the phone? Are you willing to do audio messages or video messages? Are you willing to set up a phone tree? Hey, we've got 55 members who we haven't seen activate in the last year. how do we divide this with our board, or who would like form a special like fun committee? Let's find out what would make it fun for our members to re-engage. You're going to get some great pie in the sky. You're going to get some pie on the plate. So whatever it is, ask your members a lot, and please be confident in the idea to create a compost pile. What are we done with? What no longer serves us? You're not throwing it out necessarily, although there's certainly a time for throwing some things out that are no longer truly useful. But then what can we let that just sit and ferment on? How can we let that get back, change into something we want? So I've gone through 10 ideas, related it in unique ways. Food brings people together, so there's some fun right there. But think about how your associations, your partnerships, your teams, your audience members, wherever you are serving, however you are serving, is a salad or a buffet. We are not a melting pot. We don't all melt into each other. The beauty of associations really comes from holistic diversity. With holistic diversity, we get belonging, and we get all the things we want: the inclusion, the thought variety, the access, the justice, all those pieces. So aim for belonging with fun, because when we have fun together, like, we want to have more fun together. And that's what we want for you, for your association. And I mean, we're in a lounge, for Pete's sake. Let's have the fun together that helps us continue to go and grow and develop. So I'm going to pause, take a sip, and turn it back over to the hosts.
So one thought, Ginger, kind of connecting, no pun intended, this back to associations. People want to be part of the conversation.
Yes.
So when Farhad's team sent out the promotions for this event, it was type in your questions so Ginger can look at those ahead of time.
Yes.
Ginger said participate in the chat. People want to be part of the conversation. They don't want to just attend the conversation.
Yes.
And teams want to be part of the conversation and part of the process, not just design this brochure, put this workshop together. How does that fit into the greater good of the association? And definitely with companies, they want to be part of the conversation. They don't want to sponsor the conversation. So when we go to companies and say, we're doing this fantastic webinar and it's on a great topic and members are really going to like it, could your company give us $10,000 so we can put your logo on it? And the company is like, well, can I attend it? Can I be in the panel? Oh, no, we just want your $10,000. People want to be part of the conversation. They don't want to just hang on and sit by and give money for it.
Yes. 100%. And that goes to the earlier comment of how, especially during COVID, we got wise to the fact that we needed it. It was a time to refresh sponsor partnerships. I mean, Bruce, you probably know this the best as anybody in this room. Like, what was working worked then. And frankly, a lot of it was already stale. So don't just splash something. It's not about a banner ad. It's not about a logo. How do people get, you're 100% right. I mean, I can give you like I can give you 10 ideas right off the top, but let me give you a couple. Number one, if you have any kind of sponsor showcase, commercials before or in between parts, say you're at a conference or you're doing a webinar, whatever it is, like, and now for a few words from our sponsor. How about you totally upend that? How about you ask them to share a story about who they are? How did they get into what they are doing based on who they are and the life they wanted to create? Oh my goodness. You want to supercharge your partnerships? Let people know that you give a darn about them. Like, tell me about a time where you saw that what you did actually helped improve somebody's life. And this takes an investment to talk with the partner on how to coach them forward with this conversation. It's like, well, we sell, maybe you're a garage door association. We sell springs, because if they don't have the right springs, then it's going to be lopsided, and then people are going to get irritated when their garage door doesn't go up. How about you ask this? How about you share this? What is it that you find so fascinating about garage door springs that literally gets you bouncing out of bed in the morning? Yes, that was intentional. And what kind of stories do you have that you could share with people about these garage door springs? Give them a moment, say, frame it as a story. Well, I went on this call one time, and then you're off and running. Give some coaching, provide some coaching. Bruce, you know that one thing I kind of do behind the scenes with very select client partners is I will help guide the speakers who are speaking as a professional keynote. And I love that work. That's what you can do in this association. Look, we really want people to know about you. And yes, we want them to patronize you and work with you. And to do that, we're mixing it up. We're doing it differently. We want to hear your stories. In fact, why don't you write down 2 or 3 stories, send them to me, and we'll work on choosing one that helps people draw a human connection to you and the product or service so that they are like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. You mean that time that he put that spring in the middle of the winter in Missoula, Montana, actually allowed that little old lady to get to her doctor's appointment so she could get her pacemaker put in? Like, tell that kind of thing. Or that spring, actually, both of them needed to be replaced. So we avoided somebody getting hurt. Oh, it's not about the spring. It's about the mission. And when, Bruce, you're 100% right. I don't want just your $10,000. I want your stories. I want, like, how does this appreciably and materially help people's lives improve? And if you can't pass that litmus test, back to the drawing board you go. Like, if you're still stuck in the, like, well, we're the best one because we're the highest quality. Nobody cares about that. They care about stories.
So that reminds me of something that we did recently, which I think is very relevant here. I didn't know about the 10 ingredients back then. I think a week ago we did hackathon across our whole company, and then like we did the hackathon for 2 days. So like on those 2 days, we dropped all our meetings, and then each person actually had a challenging goal, a few goals, and that they will actually work on. And what we did is that like during those 2 days, we just focused on those like 1 or 2 goals, and we got everyone to share their ideas, how they're going to solve that one problem. And I didn't realize that we were kind of like doing this like very purposefully, right? So what is our organization's goal, what problems we're trying to solve, but also empowering every single person to solve their own problem, right? And then now I'm realizing that like I think we did something amazing last week, which we should do more of.
Yes, if it's working, if it's like, oh my gosh, if you get that spark, like you just explained, like, whoo, now do it judiciously enough so it doesn't become rote. It may be a whole new groove for the company culture, for the association culture. That's gonna, I know, I'd bet my own self-funded retirement, Farhad, that is rippling in so many ways. People are like, that was so much fun. And whether they consciously register that or not, like I felt seen, I felt valued, I felt heard. I got to get into some of the projects I really love. I got to do this, I got to bring this up, like, whoo, and they felt safe and they felt welcome. They felt that was encouraged. You know, the root word of encourage is courage. So how are we encouraging? What you did with that hackathon, that's encouraging people like, all right, y'all, roll up your sleeves, take shoes off, we're getting into it. And people will, I believe, and I have a feeling that most people in the room, and give us a sign in some way, shape, or form, most people, when given the opportunity to be welcome and wanted and invited and provided the space, will rise to the occasion. We all want to be seen, valued, and heard. There's a powerful story I tell during keynotes about one of my personal experiences, and every time I think about it, how I did not fully see, value, and hear somebody has permanently changed my own landscape. That was my hackathon. You know, it happened within a matter of minutes. When we pay attention to those, how do we duplicate them? How do we clone them, or how do we adjust them so that, like, oh, if the hackathon worked for this, how could we take that same idea, that same ingredient, and boost our organization, our culture, our whatever, in a similar kind of way? How do we raise the energy? How do we raise the vibe? How do we become a magnet for people knocking on our, like, I want to work for you? That's what we want. Good for you, Farhad. I just wrote down hackathon. Ooh, how could I take that for myself? I'm gonna do a hackathon for me.
Oh, totally, totally. On that note, so when we're at a conference and people are together, the energy is already high. So people are having fun because they're talking to each other. But then when we get off the conference, there's like this like dull rest of the like 6 months until the next event. And then all the engagement is happening online. So how would you make the online engagement fun as well at the same time when members cannot meet in person and there's no event happening?
How many do you want?
Maybe your top one.
Okay. I'll give you 6. How's that?
Sure.
Okay, so how do we take the vibe, the energy, the enthusiasm of being, whether it is together in on premise or online, quite frankly, how do we help that last? I call it reentry. I learned that from one of my coaches years ago. We go to camp and like, wee, this is fun. And then we leave camp and it often nosedives. So how do we keep that going and growing? That's your question, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Number 1, you got to set your intention. Set your oven, set your intention. My intention is to stay in active contact. Now, the key with this is do it reasonably. reasonably. I'm gonna reach out. Like I have this whole list of people, or I'm connected with all these people on LinkedIn now, or they're part of the member lounge, whatever it is. Be gracious with yourself. Choose like one person a week or one person every other week. Figure out the frequency and rhythm that works for you, but set your intention and stay connected with somebody new or somebody newer to you. Number 2, when you are at the thing, take physical notes. Like the science shows that when we write things down versus type things in on any kind of device, we remember differently. We remember better. So take actual notes like pencil, paper, Rocketbook, however you do it, but write it with your hands as much as you can, because that sinks in differently. To type it, we can get shorthandy. We can just like think it's a vomit, but what we want is really the crux of what we're hearing. So those are number 1 and 2. Number 3, ask people to stay in touch with you. Gosh, Bruce, it was so great to meet you here. Let's put a date on the calendar right now for 2 months from now, or a month from now, or 6 months from now. Let's meet, let's get together right before conference opens. Are you going to pre-con? If there's some predictability that is good predictability, then ask somebody else to help you stay engaged. We all want to be asked. And we all want to be asked. And so this is a magic zone of connection. Number 4, look at your notes once you've taken them, however you've chosen to take them, and set some dates for yourself to revisit those notes. I'm guessing I am in good company when I say I literally have journals full of notes that I've taken. Give me an emoji if this is you also. Journals full of notes from all kinds of different growth events. Maybe you did conversations that spark some growth also. So make a date with yourself to revisit those notes. One of the ways I love to do it, which is number 5, is when you are traveling, because all of us in the association world travel in some way. Hi, Barbara. Thank you for that. All of us travel in some way, shape, or form, whether it is from our headquarters to our kitchen or getting on a plane. I have gotten into this wonderful practice of bringing one of those journals with me. Sometimes I don't care which one, I just grab one. I cycle through them and I roam through them. Like, oh yeah, that thing, that was, yeah, this is why I wrote this down. Or like, why did I write that down? Or how about that conversation I had with Kim? Yeah, that brings us to number 6. When you are using something like those notes resources, your journals, or however you're recording, include names, include resources in there. Like I'm a voracious reader of books. If people here on the live cast have some books they recommend, please go ahead and put those in the chat. I'm always looking for more. Put those references in your notes so that you go back and you're like, I think that is a book I want to read, or say, no, I don't need to read it. Oh, Bruce said this. Oh, this is a great time. I wonder what Bruce is up to. Give him a call, send him a text, send him a message, whatever it is. So all of these are interrelated, as you see. And Fred, I'm really glad you asked this question, because we often think that the conferences or the events, the webinars, are isolating. They do not have to be. Continue. I'm going to give a 7th one. When you are doing online, fire up the freaking chat. Like the chat is the hallway. The chat is the water cooler. It's the table at lunch. Please, 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 if you host, make sure that you're using a platform like Zoom that allows for open chat as well as private chat between people. If you're afraid of private chat, there's a bigger concern at stake. Please open that up so people can private message each other, so they can connect with each other. Oh my gosh, did you hear what they just said? Yeah, we could use that for our next thing. If Barbara and I are on the same webinar, we can do something that is then helpful for us, and also thoughtful to the host or the rest of the people there, so that like they don't need to read it. It's like reply all. Oh, no, like you don't need to reply all, just reply few or direct. So there's a lot more where that came from, but those are some ways to maintain it. It is our intention first. That's why that's the number 1, which is also part of the connector's mindset. Set your intention. And here, okay, here's number 8. And then I'll pause. Is that say out loud to yourself before you walk in the room, before you go to the thing, my intention for this event is. My intention for fill in the blank is. Set your intention with yourself. And I invite you to say it out loud, because when we hear ourselves say it, we might clarify it. Actually, that's not what I want. Okay. My intention is to go and have a great time at the conference. A little too general, folks. My intention at this conference is to meet 3 new people. My intention at this conference is to attend this event or to try to find this kind of connection, or my intention is to be completely open to the ideas. That's a gutsy one. And I challenge you to use that one, because being fully open is being fully open. It's not open by choice. It is fully open. And then you will find some gold in there. So I will pause. There was a lot there. And please apply. This is again like knowledge. Okay, yeah, those sound like good ideas, Ginger. Choose what works for you. It's simply choose one and then try it. If it's not yours, compost it, choose another one, and regurgitate.
I am definitely going to take all these like ideas for the conference and share with my clients as well, because they can really actually share this with their participants of the conferences. That way, the participants actually get way more value.
Absolutely, because conferences, we all know conferences have a really unique bandwidth. Conferences, webinars, whatever the format is, and we can utilize these in every format.
Absolutely, Ginger. So with that, I'm going to go down to the questions that we got from everyone.
Great.
So my first question is from Kristen Remy. So Kristen is asking, a lot of the time associations will actually want to be professional over being playful. How do you convince your leadership and board and team to kind of like be more fun?
I saw that in the questions. And here's the deal. Thank you, Kristen. I would invite you to rethink professional, personal. I invite you to put them together. This is truly where the magic lies. If you believe in the work you're doing, what you are pursuing professionally is a huge part of who you are personally. And in fact, that alignment, I believe, is vital for living the life we want to live, for being the person we want to be, to getting through the things, to being creative, to all of it. So being like, what is your culture vibe? What is the playfulness meter? What are your core values? Do you have playful as a core value? Because if you do that, you're going to bake this in. Let's not have them battle. Let's have them mingle so that you have some whimsy, so you have some fun, so that you encourage people to laugh. Like silliness is given a really bad rap. Silliness isn't vapid. It isn't useless. Silliness is a way that we can release tension, and tension needs release to be constructive. Otherwise, we're just a bunch of tense people. And I think everybody in here doesn't need any more anxiety or tension. So don't default to using the phrase like, we got to be professional. And I work with some teams where this is something we are working ongoing. This is not going to change overnight. Rarely does anything change overnight, except the bread being offered. But what we want is to instill and encourage a sense of how are we joyous? How are we buoyant? How are we uplifting in our work and still do the work we want? So there might be some different word choices that would be helpful.
And actually, that reminds me that if someone is enjoying the day-to-day work that they're doing that day, like automatically, like it's fun for them. We don't have to like recreate fun in any other way, right? So this happened to like someone in our team. I'm not going to mention names if you're listening, but a team member actually, we were supposed to like move him to the marketing team, and then like he said, no, I like the sales team. I want to stay in sales. I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for raising your hand and sharing that upfront, right? As a result, he's staying in the sales team. So I think like, and just by doing that, like putting the right people like in the right seat, automatically people enjoy their work a lot more. So I guess like as long as we can keep doing that for everyone in the team.
Yes. And that takes a prescience. That takes some wisdom and some listening to what I call your trifecta: your head, your heart, your guts. Listen to that. There are industries where promotion happens because you're really good at this, so we're going to promote you to this. Well, you're really good at that. So thankfully your team member said, I'm really good at this because I love it. Because there's still growth room. Like growth isn't always ascension in a positional way. It's not about an org chart or a hierarchy. It's about like, how do I feel really deeply connected to what I'm doing? And how does that resonate with me so that I can give better, give more, give happily, give joyfully. And when there is a load to bear, which there always will be, then I'm more set up for it. My muscles are stronger. I'm more interested, more willing to all of that. So really glad you brought this up. Think about how you want to grow, and therefore as a leader, how are you paying attention to the teams you serve, to yourself? What are you saying yes to? What are you saying no to? How does it fit with your own alignment of who you want to be. I believe that the who will always lead the parade. The do is second. Everybody here is an extremely capable person. You can do darn near anything. So focus on the life you want to live. And how does that align with the work you want to do? And then someday, if there's a shift, like, actually, I'm kind of done with it. It doesn't call the same joy. Then have the conversation. It's the Harner principle. Have the conversation that we're not having that we need to have.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, that's such a good one. And it's so wise. Promotion, just for promotion's sake, just because we need a body in that spot, which first of all, do we really? Is there an evolution for that position that would be a great time to shift and innovate? What do we think we really want from that? So we all know it's always kind of a sticky cobweb. It's rarely one-dimensional.
Absolutely. So the next question is from Sharon Corl. Sharon is asking, how do we design learning experiences that rebuild connection and loyalty for the members, so they actually attend sessions and they actually enjoy them at the same time?
Sharon, I trust you have like 3 hours to talk about this.
Maybe a quick tip on this.
How do we, that was in there. How do we design learning experiences that rebuild connection and loyalty? Let's pause there. You're here for a fun podcast. How can you bake more fun into it? How can you get more fun into it? You don't have to lift that alone. Ask people, what do they want? What would make this learning more enjoyable? Use whatever word you want, more gratifying, more rewarding, more fun. Use the word that fits. Ask them what their word is. Building connection, please, some specific tactics, like make sure people are positioned in different spots. So if it's a physical room, like have people sit next to different people. If it is online, have what I call a baton pass. If you're opening up the floor and asking people to participate, have the participants pass the baton. This is how it works. For all of us here, like I'll pull up the whole view right now for our recording, and we got a lot of people here. And so I might say, okay, Van, you're going to start the baton pass. Van, tell us X, Y, and Z, and then you choose the next person to participate. And so the baton goes around the room, and that, first of all, it improves engagement because people are like, I better pay attention. So when my name is called, then I'm on it. There's some humor that can be had in there, but that helps share the responsibility of connection, because it is all of our responsibilities. Connection isn't just a one-way outward bound. It's definitely an ecosystem. Loyalty then comes from when we feel like, oh, I actually matter. It means something when I'm there. It means something when I'm not there. People will notice when I'm not there. People will equally notice when I am there. Loyalty, I believe, comes from our consistency. When we keep showing up, we keep showing up. What we really want, though, is to keep showing up so that people trust us, so that loyalty is reinforced, so that the joy of wanting to be there, the alignment is reminded. Start every meeting you have with, we are here because this reason. Start with your purpose statement. This meeting is about X, Y, and Z. My intention for this event, gathering, meeting, whatever it is this. Does anybody else have any other intention? That's the second part to the intention. You want to build connection and loyalty. Ask people what they want from it, because that just super juices it. And those are some ways you can do it. If they don't truly feel part of something, and if you use the word members in your question, Sharon, and I hope it's Sharon and not Sharon. If I'm mispronouncing it, please correct me, which there's a little piece of juice right there. Then ask them, why did you join us originally? Take a look at what their longevity is and what keeps you here. What would you like to see more of? Because everybody's going to have a different reason. Find out what that is and see what it is that they may want. Again, these are going back to some really simple big rocks. Ask, have the conversation, reach out, offer the connection.
I think there's a very similar question here as well, so I'll take this one. So it's Samantha Stone is asking, how do you know what fun looks like to a large 6,000 plus academic membership base?
That's fantastic. How do you know what fun looks like? You ask. How about a poll? How about some sort of tool where you can invite people and then you follow up with them? One of the core concepts of a truly connected membership based on like what I call the connector's mindset, which is in my book, and I teach to it all the time, is you've got to make the first move. So even if it's a cross section, do that. Have your team divide and gather. Have active volunteers, have active members. Hey, would you reach out to 2 members, to 5 members? Would you be willing to do that on behalf? Give them the script or give them the guidance so it doesn't go rogue if you don't want it going rogue. But like, talk about this with them. So I'm of the belief, Samantha, that size of the membership, it does clearly it has an impact in different ways. I also believe that the engagement of the members, the active engagement of the active members is in lockstep, if not slightly ahead of that. Like I say, as a keynote speaker, once in a while I'll be doing a closing keynote, which I absolutely love. A lot of speakers don't like closing keynotes because it's usually in their crowd. But I love closing. I love opening. I also love closing because A, we can tie everything up. But B, I focus on, and I live this, and I think about this consciously every single time. I'm paying attention to who's in the room, not who isn't. So I would say, Samantha, start with the people who are in the room in whatever metaphorical way you want to use that. And then ripple out. Go in some generational circles. I mean, think of like a target diagram, like who are our most engaged members? And then who's the next, and who's the next, and who's the next. So that's how you can do it. It's incremental, it's steady. There's an association I was a member with several years ago and was involved with and spoke and so forth. And they did it really well. They had a international multi-thousand member association, and they would systematically throughout the whole year reach out to every single member. This is the question: how do you eat a whale? Right? Sometimes
one bite at a time.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes all we see is the whole thing. And then if we pause and let ourselves reflect for a moment, like, well, let's start with who we start with. Because frankly, if you're not doing it already, it doesn't matter. The members don't know any different. You need to, if you're going to do this, I encourage you to dedicate yourself to some sort of cycle in doing this. I'm sure that Bruce, you probably have some great insights on this too. Like med it out, portion it out so that it's doable, maybe over a 1 year cycle or 2 or 3 or even 4. That when we get a literal phone call, if we get a personalized message of some sort that is not an email, we amp our loyalty. We amp our like, oh, they care. They see that I'm there or not there. And all kinds of things. This goes with your members. This goes with your partnerships. This goes with everybody. One of the core concepts that I brought up before too is that think about it this way, y'all. Seen, valued, and heard. Seen, valued, and heard. How are you and your team members feeling seen, valued, and heard with everybody? A short story's been shared about that today. How are your members feeling seen, valued, and heard? A lot of tactical today, a lot of practical. How is the community that supports the community, that sponsors, the partners, all of those people, how are they feeling seen, valued, and heard? If you boil whatever we're cooking up today to how do you connect so that you have a fun and healthy, vibrant membership, so you are growing in the ways you want to grow, aligned with the mission you have adopted, then you will be successful.
Yeah, and Ginger, that reminds me as well that like when we're trying to address a large membership, we don't have to like have fun with 6,000 members all at once. So it's more about like creating like pockets, small groups, so that group can have fun with each other. And I think it often comes down to creating committees and then like letting the committees create fun activities for their like cohort of members. And then also I guess like if you have like a diverse team in organizing the fun activities at different, maybe like at different levels of their career, different age groups, then we will actually have like some representative, like activities that some other people can actually relate with.
Yes. And that brings us to another question. Somebody asked about, let me find it here. We continue to struggle with recruitment and retention of younger members. Somebody else mentioned next gen, multi-generational. Here's the thing, y'all. Members want to be a member. They're not thinking of their age. They're not thinking of their generation. They're thinking the WIFM. What's in it for me? And the members who are really a great fit are the ones like, what can I contribute? This is a double whammy of what's in it for me? Why would I belong? Why would I be a member? Why would I be included? And why would I belong are two different questions. But why would I be a member and how do I want to engage? And what's in it for me? Plus, what can I contribute? How can I be on one of these committees? What if you opened up your 6,000 plus membership, your 60 plus membership? What if you opened up your 600 membership and said, hey, we're looking for 5 committees to really boost some fun. Who has something that's fun? Who would love to like bang the drum for fun? Who likes to go hiking? Man, prime the pump. Who likes to go hiking? Who likes to taste tea? Who who has a dog, there's so many ways. And here's where that professional and personal is also problematic. Like, don't separate them. Like, who loves dogs? Maybe you're all about, maybe you're the International Light Bulb Association. We still got a lot of pet parents in the room. My hand would be up for that because I got 2 kids with 4 legs apiece, as it should be. Have something that is immediately an affinity. Farid, this is spot on. You want to develop fun? Have people take that responsibility, because when we give people that opportunity, they can make it what they want, and then let it go. Let them have the fun committees or the groups, whatever you want to call them, as they want to do it. You can even, like, if you do something like this, my brain just went forward. Like, say you have a conference, allow and invite the fun committees or these affinity groups then to do something at or as part of the conference or the webinar. Have them put hats on, have them bring, whatever. It's just infinite in how we can get creative on how they want to show up. Ask them, because if they're in a group that they want to have fun with, they're going to have a ton of ideas. If anything else, you might want to say, well, let me check and see if that's legal or if fire code allows. You want people to get so juiced and jazzed that there's no place else they want to be, that there's no question that they love being a member, and they're afforded the opportunity. And they're not just afforded, they're invited to participate fully and show up like them.
Yeah, that quickly reminds me. We wanted to kind of like get like a fog machine at our booth at a trade show. And then like we were told you're going to break the fire code. So we didn't bring the fog machine. We got there, lo and behold, there's this booth that had a fog machine. We asked for permission, and they did not. There you go.
Forgiveness and permission. I mean, that's like off the record. That's up to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot
Bruce,
more
anything to add?
you can't.
Absolutely,
Yep.
yeah. Bruce, anything to add?
Well, I was thinking when Ginger was responding to your good question, Farhad, about ways to kind of make conferences and webinars go beyond the 2 days or the 2 hours or whatever. And this is not intended to be a sales pitch, and Ginger and Farhad are paying me to say this. I would say take the recording of this podcast today and use this as part of your team's next strategic planning meeting. So instead of our typical strategic planning meetings with the big flip charts and here are the projects we're going to continue and here are the ones we're going to discontinue, to take this podcast and then ask how that applies to what you're doing and what you're doing with members, sponsors, consumers, what you're doing on the website and how it fits in, because this is really a template for strategic planning. And if you want some more resources, glance at Ginger's website. You don't have to call her to speak at your event. I'm sure she'd appreciate it if you did. But there's some great resources. But this is really, and as many years as many of us have worked for associations, what I really like about Ginger, and so delighted I've met her and worked with her, Ginger is not cut out of that association cloth. It can't necessarily say, oh, I've worked for associations for 40 years. I know how they all work. So I think sometimes the paradigm shift, taking things from cooking, from being an arts teacher in a rural community, and how does that apply to associations? And sometimes that paradigm shift is exactly what we need. So a lot of value in traditional association learning and guidance and strategic planning, but this is a great podcast template for strategic planning for associations.
Right on. 100%. You get to decide what your traditions are, friends. You get to decide what your conventions are. You get to change them. You are in the seat where you have the say and the possibility and the opportunity. So 100%.
And I guess the next thing you can do as an audience, if you're in the room with us, share this episode with your colleagues as well, so that like your colleagues can actually like take in, take all of it in, and then they can actually apply it in their work as well day to day. All right. So Ginger, we are actually over time. Such an engaging episode. It was amazing. Thank you so much for being with us today. What would be your one like key takeaway for the audience? A short one takeaway for today.
Foster creativity. Provide the common ground, provide the space and the grace for creativity, because everything stems from the fact that we are creative beings and we want to be creative. We want to contribute. So much will flourish if we create cultures of creativity, and the guests make the party. So this has just been a blast. Thank you, everybody who's been here. Thank you for everybody who's watching, and Bruce and Farhad, of course, thank you.
All right. Ginger, how can people keep in touch with you?
GingerJohnson.com, ginger@gingerjohnson.com. I am very active on LinkedIn, newsletter. I have a few copies of my book left. I'm writing some new ones. and let me know how I can be of service to you. So let's connect and have the conversation that you want to have. I'd be delighted to support you.
That's wonderful. Bruce, do you have any last takeaways?
No, this has been great. I think, I've learned a lot. As many sessions and hours as I spent with Ginger, I learned a lot and always do. And a great set of ideas for associations moving forward.
Yeah, so my key takeaway for today would be I actually apply a little thing in my work every single time. Like whenever I actually have a task that I have, I take 1 minute to think, how can I make the most of this task right now? And then I think in that 1 minute, I wasn't thinking that like I need to like think about the stakeholders, the fun and all of that all together. But I think my takeaway would be that whenever you are working on anything, any project, task, an email, anything, take 1 minute. Just 1 minute. 1 minute isn't long. Take 1 minute to think about the fun part of it. Think about like how your stakeholders and everyone is engaging with the piece of content that you are producing, you're working on right now. And if you just take that 1 minute, you will see that your mind will light up and you'll get so many different ideas. And I'll apply your 10 points in that 1 minute as quickly as I can moving forward. Ginger, thank you so much. So that was the episode today. So thank you so much for all of you being here. The chat was so active, so vibrant. We got some amazing questions, amazing interaction. So I love it. So if you're joining us live, then you're actually getting everything. But if you're watching the recording, the notes and everything will be attached in a link below as well. So you can get that too. Alrighty. And once again, this is the Member Lounge podcast and I'm your host, like Farhad Khan, CEO of Member Lounge. We're going to sign off, but we actually have a lot of programming coming up. We hold 2 events every single month. And if you want to sign up for our future episodes, do that on our website. It's memberlounge.app. Again, that is memberlounge, all one word, .app. We wish you all the best with your membership journey and keep having fun with your team and your members. Bye for now.